Hey everyone, Dr. Chem here, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into what I like to call the beautiful, hidden mathematical architecture of the universe. We're going on a little journey, you and me. We're going to travel from the chunky, countable, discrete world of everyday events straight into the incredibly smooth, infinitely precise, continuous universe. It's an exploration that connects totally abstract math right down to physical reality. And, well, by the time we wrap up, you're going to see the pure chaos of the world through a beautifully structured lens. But right off the bat, let's start with a puzzle. A bit of a mystery box for you. What is the probability that a totally random person's height is exactly 5 foot 9 inches? And I mean exactly, to infinite precision, no rounding. We're talking 5.75000 going on forever into infinity. Well, believe it or not, the mathematically correct answer is actually 0. Absolute 0%. But wait, obviously it's physically possible for someone to be exactly that height, right? So how on earth can an event be possible but have a probability of absolute 0? We're going to unpack exactly why this happens as we go through today's explainer. All right, so let's get grounded. Before we run, we gotta walk, right? Every mathematical universe we're going to explore today operates by a very strict set of rules for assigning probabilities, and they all boil down to 3 basic axioms. Number 1, non-negativity. Simply put, the probability of any event is always greater than or equal to 0. No negative chances. I mean, you can't have a negative 20% chance of rain, right? Number 2, normalization. The probability of the entire sample space, literally all possible outcomes combined, has to equal exactly 1. And number 3, additivity. If you have mutually exclusive events that absolutely cannot happen at the same time, you can just add their probabilities together. These 3 axioms, they are our bedrock. Now think about how we actually tame the wild chaos of raw probability. We use a random variable. But here's the secret. A random variable isn't just some random unpredictable number. Nope. It's actually a function. It's a highly structured rule that elegantly takes abstract outcomes from a sample space, like rolling dice or tossing coins, and maps them directly onto something we all know, the one-dimensional real number line. By pinning these abstract outcomes to actual numbers, we can finally do some real math with them. And that brings us to our very first mathematical landscape, the discrete realm. So a discrete random variable is one that can only take on a finite, or at most, a countably infinite number of distinct values. Just picture this as a very chunky world. We're dealing with isolated, separated outcomes here. Like, think about counting the number of students in a classroom. You could have 20, or you could have 21, but you are never ever going to have 20.7 students. The values have real physical gaps between them. So how do we actually measure probability in this chunky world? Well, we use what's called a probability mass function, or PMF for short. And honestly, it's wonderfully straightforward. It just gives us the exact probability of each specific numerical value that our random variable can take. If we want to find the total probability of a set of events, easy. We just sum up the individual probabilities of those distinct countable chunks. Good old-fashioned simple addition totally does the trick. But as we all know, the real world isn't always chunky. Let's shift gears and meet the real star of our explainer, the continuous random variable. A continuous variable can take on literally any value within a range, down to the most microscopic, mind-boggling decimal. No gaps, none. This is exactly what we use to model infinitely precise things, like the exact temperature of your morning coffee, or physical distance, or, yep, exact height. But here's the catch. Because the set of possible values is uncountably infinite, simple addition, it completely breaks down here. And this perfectly highlights a really profound shift we have to make. Over on one side, we have our discrete realm. It's countable, it relies on simple sums, and it's measured by a probability mass function. But on the other side, we have our continuous universe. It's uncountably infinite, and it's handled by the continuous cousin of addition, which is integration, measured by a probability density function. When you get right down to the math of it, to leap from the discrete to the continuous, we literally just swap out our sums for integrals. Imagine you're trying to approximate a curved area by stacking up a bunch of chunky rectangles side by side. That's our discrete sum in action. But watch what happens as we make the width of those rectangular intervals, our delta x, smaller and smaller, pushing it ever closer to 0. Those chunky rectangles organically smooth out and transform into the seamless area under a curve. So really, an integral, informally speaking, is just a continuous sum. Okay, before we go any further, I want you to just pause for a second and think about these terms. Why do statisticians insist on using the words mass and density to describe these functions? Like, what's the actual difference? As a scientist, let me tell you, this is absolutely my favorite metaphorical bridge. The simple answer is that these terms are completely 100% analogous to the exact physical concepts of mass and density that you learn in physics class. Let's start with mass. Imagine you have a few physical masses, say M1, M2, and M3, just sitting in a row at specific spots on a line. The total mass is just the sum of those individual pieces, right? Well, that is exactly how the probability mass function behaves. It essentially drops discrete chunks of probability at very specific points on our number line, and we just add them all up. It acts exactly like physical mass, just using units of probability instead of kilograms. Now, let's see how this builds into density. Imagine you have a physical metal rod, where the material's density actually varies continuously from one end to the other. You don't have those distinct chunks to just add up anymore. So to find the total mass of this rod, you have to conceptually slice it up into infinitesimally small little slivers. Multiply the local density by that tiny, tiny width, and then add all those slivers up. In other words, you have to integrate the density over the entire length of the rod. Which brings us right to the formal definition of the probability density function, or PDF, which we usually call f of x. For a continuous random variable, we integrate this non-negative function over a specific interval to find our probability. But listen closely, because here is the major trap people fall into all the time. Unlike the discrete mass function, the PDF itself is not a probability. I repeat, it's not a probability. Just like physical density isn't mass until you multiply it by volume, a probability density isn't a probability until you actually integrate it to find the area under the curve. And because the PDF is a density and not a probability, it creates this genuinely fascinating paradox. Look at how the function f of x spikes all the way up to 3 on the interval from 0 to 1/3. Wait a minute, 3? Didn't we literally just say in our axioms that a probability can't be greater than 1? Yes, we absolutely did. But remember, f of x is density, not probability. The probability is the area under the curve. And what's the area of a rectangle with a height of 3 and a width of 1/3? It's exactly 1. So our total probability is perfectly normalized, even though the density itself spikes way above 1. Isn't that wild? And now we can finally crack open that mystery box from the very beginning. Why is the probability of a random person being exactly 5'9" 0? Well, because with a continuous distribution, probability is defined as the area under the density curve over an interval. But an infinitely precise height? That's just a single solitary point on the number line. And what is the area of a line segment that has 0 width? It's 0. So even though the event is entirely physically possible, when we integrate from 5'9" to exactly 5'9", the math yields absolute 0. Okay, so if integrating from a single point to a single point always gives us 0, how do we practically measure these continuous variables? Well, we use the great unifier of probability theory, the cumulative distribution function, or the CDF. We denote this with a capital F of x, and the CDF doesn't bother asking, hey, what's the probability of exactly x? Instead, it just keeps a running total. It tells us the accumulated probability that our random variable is less than or equal to a certain value. Because the CDF is basically just a running total of probability, it tells a really specific visual story. As you sweep from left to right along the number line, it always acts as a non-decreasing function. It starts way over on the left at negative infinity, which represents absolute impossibility, 0. And then as it moves right, gobbling up all those possible outcomes towards positive infinity, it inexorably climbs up and up until it hits absolute certainty, exactly 1. And here is the moment it all comes together triumphantly. The CDF works for both discrete and continuous random variables. It's the ultimate bridge. If you want to know the probability that a variable lands somewhere between point A and point B, you don't actually have to do a massive, complicated integral every time. You just take the cumulative probability all the way up to B, and you subtract the cumulative probability up to A, just f of B minus f of A. This beautifully simple subtraction saves you from doing complex calculus from scratch, letting us calculate interval probabilities no matter what mathematical universe we happen to be in. So look how far we've come. We've traveled from chunky, discrete masses all the way to incredibly smooth, continuous densities. We've seen firsthand how random variables aren't just chaotic noise, but elegant mathematical functions that actively map uncertainty into highly structured distributions. So I want to leave you with a thought to ponder. Knowing that the underlying physics of probability can actually quantify the unknown, what unpredictable phenomena in your own life, maybe the exact arrival time of your morning train, or the precise temperature of a room, could you model today using the sheer power of applied statistics? Seriously, think about it. I'm Dr. Chem, and thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep wondering and keep calculating.